Така, добре дошли във втория епизод на Gabriel Knight Brothers. Надявам се всичко се чува добре. Това плейтру го продължаваме на български, разбира се, понеже сега се стримам в моя си канал. Пуснали сме записчето, така че цъкаме на стор и продължаваме с втория ден. Добре. Добре дошли на всички. И да продължаваме с аз си хапнах сега съм си налял, разбира се, една биричка. То как без? Как без? Може после и винца, не се знае. Здрасти, Ред БГ. Да, вчера го приключихме. Приключихме го, направихме една ретроспекция, така една обективна оценка, добра мисля, че дадох. На два монитора е добре. Два монитора е добре. Кого е? Два монитора. Как да гледаш? То само интересни стримове, какво да правиш? Трябва на телефона да пуснеш. Край на мъките, да. Ако толкова много те интересува реалното ми обективно мнение за играта, може да видиш края на последния вод. Като гледам доста от феновете на играта се съгласиха с мнението ми. Но така де. Следващата игра на Ubisoft, която ще играем, ще е Beyond Good and Evil, само да успея да я подкарам, защото тя е доста стара игра и 99-та ли? 2000-та ли? Да, има си плюсовете сега, не е супер гадна игра, просто е Ubisoftска игра, пък те имат специфична формула, изключително бъгава е. Ако не беше толкова... Да. Тя не тръгва директно, нали? Ти не помниш ли, аз като я пуснах и тя премигваше, джойстика не вървеше, изобщо пълна скръб, човек. Ако може да не се захващаш толкова за техническите ограничения и бъговете, да, играта е хубава, обаче с всичките бъгове, които ги имаше, не мога да я дам повече от оценка 6. И то даже не беше тук-там. При мене. Беше почти навсякъде, почти през цялото време беше сбагясана. Най-вече по време на битките. Максимум 6 давам оценка и то с много уговорки. Реално 4,5. Просто е остаряла много зле. Но има си феновете. И разбирам ги защо след като Ubisoft са се опитали където ролплейнга не им е изобщо силата. Това няма какво да се лъжем. И разбирам защо феновете не харесват по-новите им игри. Те са с доста по-голям RPG елемент. Докато знам, че Мираж последната вече е върната към кореници. Графично, да, Добре изглежда, с изключение, това го казаха и самите фенове на играта, че този филтър, който има отгоре си и еднообразието на цветовете я загрозяваха доста от тази гледна точка. Иначе да, графично достарява сравнително добре, но механиките не са добре имплементирани. Наратива е почти липсващ. Плосък герой повърхностен. Плосък сценарий. Почти нищо неоригинално. Изключително много рип-оф има на други игри, които са излезли преди почти близо 10 години. Това е. Това, че някой не е играл примерно при живота си Soul River и не може да я сравни, аз примерно виждам супер много рипов от Legacy of Kain поредицата. И не защото са подобен тип игри. Просто няма почти нищо оригинално. Най-интересното беше дето ходиш с каките. Обаче ти като го направиш 50 пъти и ти писва. Ето, не си играл Soul River. Заради това не можеш да го видиш това в Assassin's Creed. Аз виждам много Soul River в нея и то директно откраднати работи. И почти не подобрени. Това е мое мнение, разбира се. Изиграхме я до там. Така, продължаваме. И аз се надявам Star Wars Outlaws. Тя е тази с жената, нали? Чакай малко. Тя ли беше? Да. Но да не забравяме, че тя не е на Ubisoft. Тя не е на Ubisoft. Тя е на Massive Entertainment. Ubisoft е само това. Нали, въпреки че те Ubisoft ги притежават, но публичър са Ubisoft. Главният девелопър е Massive Entertainment, които изкараха The Division. Мисля, че. И мен само това малко ме притеснява, че прекалено много The Division игра и по-малко Star Wars игра, но не знам какъв тип. Не знам точно какъв тип ще е. Нали, тя се води Action Adventure. Да, те са студио на Юби. Да видим, може все пак 2024 може пък да се държи добре. Въпреки че самото студио не е правило такава игра. Не съм сигурен те дали изобщо са правили third person игра. И на мен това ме притеснява, защото когато не си правят third person игра и изведнъж тръгнеш да я правиш такъв голям проект, ще разберем, ще видим. Като излезне ще се проличи. Добре, достатъчно по темата. Продължаваме напред с втория ден в Gabriel Knight. Добре.
There's no one in that part of the shop to talk to.
Кажете дали има ехо.
Gabriel cannot see a way to use that. That doesn't seem. Today's newspaper is on the counter.
Клиповете в YouTube вече абсолютно за нищо не може. Всеки уважаващ себе си геймър. Окей, мерси. Всеки уважаващ себе си геймър не може да разчита на трейлери и YouTube клипове, защото там нещата са от контролирана среда пуснати на 100% и нали, играят самите девове или някакви тестери, а не някой, който за пръв път се сблъсква с играта, с средата. Съвсем различно е. Демо в замунда. Добре.
Times
Да
Picayune,
прочетем вестник.
dated June 19, 1993. A front-page article describes the most recent of the voodoo murders. Gabriel scans it but learns not anew. The article reiterates that the voodoo aspect of the crimes is fake. Gabriel shivers.
Да, ще сложа
It
слушалките.
looked real enough to him. Elsewhere, there's an article about the history of Jackson Square, called La Plaza d'Ama. Under French rule, it was used for executions, firing squads, hanging, even impalement and breaking on the wheel. Yikes! Of course, these days it's more star hangout for tourists, street musicians and locals. Gabriel also scans the Aquarius horoscope for the day. Chances of a dark star rising on this day. Do not trust your instincts.
I feel a dark star rising, all right.
Кажете дали всичко е наред със звука. Да, PC Mania и Gamers Workshop бяха яки списания. Аз смених си звука на слушалките, защото аз искам добре да чувам играта. А пък прекалено много диалог има, за да може микрофона да го заглуши. Така ще чувам много по-добре. Добре. Айде да говорим с муцката. Аре.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Do you have messages for me?
Nope. None right now.
Could you do some research for me?
Sure. What?
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Do you know anything else about voodoo?
I've told you all I know. Sorry I can't be more help.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I know you shouldn't be messing with it, and I know you will anyway.
You can't tell me anything about the word Schottenjäger?
Nope, sorry, I don't speak German.
Окей. Това е. Толкова. Излизаме, мисля, че от така.
Blessed caffeine.
I'll be back later.
Have fun.
Ще да направим една голяма схема. Това видео много яко. Сцената. Аха, някаква схема има тук. Някакъв майстор има.
There's a photocopy machine in the office area. The electrician has left his tools behind. He must plan on returning. There's a temperature gauge on the wall near Mosley's office. The security cage has been removed by the electrician.
Got a second, officer?
What can I do you for?
What can you tell me about voodoo?
I told you, I ain't got nothing to say about voodoo.
There's nothing you have to say about the Voodoo Murray's case, huh?
You're really pressing your luck, pal.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
What is it with you? I said no.
I'm here to see Detective Mosley.
He's in his office. Go on back.
Detective Mosley. Hard at work, I see.
Knight, I had a feeling you'd show up.
Can I ask you about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
How about getting me some coffee?
What am I, your slave?
Hey, I'm working my butt off here.
Yeah, fine. Some people are never satisfied.
Unfortunate. Mosley's desk has more groin on it than on his head.
Here, drink it.
Едно кафенце.
Thanks.
The coffee cup is empty. The coffee cup is empty. There is nothing to operate there. Gabriel would prefer to touch as little of Mosley's stuff as possible. Gabriel would prefer to... The suit doesn't open. Nice polyester. Looks like something Mosley keeps around for formal occasions.
За официални случаи.
Logs of unsolved cases, perhaps? Mosley's office looks a lot like his room at college. Mosley's office A microwave. If Gabriel knows Moseley, it's used exclusively for frozen corn dogs. A microwave. Art prints of the mall variety. Police department memos and other didactic blurbs. Police department memos and other didactic blurbs. That's funny. That window is a mirror on the other side.
I'll let you get back to it.
Ciao, baby.
There's a temperature gauge on the wall near Moseley's office. The security cage has been removed by the electrician.
Тук е хинта. Тук е хинта.
The gauge is fixed in place. The gauge is fixed in place.
Направихме го на много топло.
Can I ask you a few questions, ma'am?
I'm sorry, sir, but I really have to finish these reports.
Трябва да му вземем значката.
It's hot in here.
Да.
Dang, the air conditioning must be on the blink. Are you hot? Man, I'm hot.
Ето е схемата. Ето е схемата.
Moseley's coat is on the chair. His badge is in the front coat pocket.
И сега му
Can I ask you
казваме,
about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
дай ми кафе.
How about getting me some coffee?
No way. Enough is enough.
Please, 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 pretty please.
All right. Just shut the hell up.
Между другото няма да се задържаме много, няма да е много дълъг стрим.
Some people are
Защото
never
искам да се почина.
satisfied.
Тия дни доста стримвах. Ще видим дали ще изиграем целия ден. Му вземем значката, защото не трябва за следващия квест.
I
Следващия
think
пъзъл.
I'll just borrow this badge.
Hey, what are you doing with my coat?
Nothing. I thought I saw something crawling on it.
Не вижда какъв
Just drink
детектив е.
this.
Не вижда какво е станало.
Thanks. Tons. I mean it.
Те бяха доста дълги стримовете. Assassin's Creed. Вчера беше 10, оня ден беше към 8 часа, може би пак 10. Бяха дълги стримове. Отиваме тук. Така.
Potted roses mark the entrance to the house. The front door of the Getty mansion looks unusually solid and heavy. The garden district is famous for its elaborate old plantation homes and mansions. The huge trees bear beards of Spanish moss.
Доста е яко. И самия коментар е много яко направен.
Perfectly groomed hedges run along the front of the porch. The windows are made of thick, heavy glass. The only thing Gabriel can see inside is even thicker drapery. The garden district is famous for its elaborate old plantation homes and mansions. This particular mansion is impeccably groomed. This door's pretty solid. This door's pretty solid. Gabriel can't get inside unless he's invited. It's a brass door knocker. The knocker is firmly attached to the front door.
May I help you? I'd like to see Malia Getty, please. I'm sorry, but unless you have an appointment or official business, I cannot announce you. I do have official business. Really? Please tell me the nature of your business. My name is Detective Mosley. I'm here on police business. Really? How interesting. Wait here. I'll inform Miss Getty.
Направихме
Miss
схемата.
Getty will see you. Right this way. Miss Getty will be down shortly. Thank you.
Сега е много забавно.
What can I do for you, detective?
Добър ден.
This is quite a place.
Thank you. It's been in the family a long time.
Long time. Да разгледам.
Beautiful women. They must be relatives.
They are.
Beautiful women. They must be relatives.
They are.
Roses and gardenias give the air a sweet taint. Harvard classics, Homer, Virgil. Maybe Malia wouldn't be impressed by a signed copy of one of Gabriel's novels.
Нали, ние сме писател, ама не сме Омер и Върчо.
Modern art?
More or less. It's a Picasso.
Пикасо.
Undoubtedly proof that there is a God. Romantic.
I like firelight, detective. I like...
Ming Dynasty, perhaps? The chair side table probably costs more than Gabriel's shop. Genuine lion skin.
I can imagine doing things on that rug.
Ама,
Excuse me?
Oh, nothing.
Гейбриъл.
Nice statue. I like it.
Thank you. It's The Rebellious Slave by Michelangelo.
Harvard classic.
Добре.
Done anything exciting lately?
I'm sorry, but I'm very busy. Can we get to the point?
Добре, добре.
Mind if I ask you a few questions, Miss Getty?
I assume that's what you're here for, Detective.
Сега ще видите целият ни чарм, но това ще го запазим за накрая. Доста як модел. Кадрава, много хубаво направена.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? Why would you want to know about that, Detective? It's rather silly, isn't it?
There's nothing silly about the voodoo murders.
But that voodoo is faked. That's what I've read in the papers.
That's what the papers say, all right.
But you're not convinced?
No, frankly, I'm not. The police department isn't known for its imagination.
Oh. Well, I can see that your imagination is considerable.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
The murders? Only what I read in the papers.
And what do you read in the papers?
I'm sure you know much more about it than I, Detective.
Чакайте една секунда, че бях пуснат пераната. Окей, продължаваме.
What do you know?
The murders?
Ню Орлиънс.
Tell me about your life in New Orleans.
The Getty family came to New Orleans in 1800. We worked very hard to get where we are. On the other hand, we've done a lot for this community.
I can believe that. You're doing a lot for me right now.
Пълен мръсник.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm afraid I quite abhor them.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
No, I'm afraid I can't help you with that, Detective.
Tell me about yourself.
I suppose I don't really have a choice. What do you want to know, Detective?
What kind of things interest you?
I don't have a lot of free time, but I do appreciate the arts. Opera, symphony, ballet, fine art. If you look around, you'll see that we collect African art, for example.
Yes,
It's very beautiful.
It is, Detective. It means a great deal to me.
Do you have a career?
A career? Being the head of the Getty family is a 24-hour-a-day job. We have many holdings and many responsibilities, financial and otherwise. The management of our business affairs and properties leaves me with time for little else.
Poor little rich girl?
Believe it or not, Detective, wealth does have its price.
Tell me about your family.
The Gettys? We're a very private family.
How many people are there in your family?
Well, my mother just passed away.
I am sorry.
So am I. She was a magnificent woman. We were very close. I was an only child.
And your father?
I never knew him.
It's hard to believe that any man would leave a woman like you. Or like your mother must have been.
He did not leave, Detective. But that's really none of your concern.
I'm sorry. Go on.
There are, of course, other Gettys in the city. I have a large, extended family.
I see. Do you have a husband? A boyfriend?
I'm
Мръсни.
very independent, Detective. The women in my family have always preferred it that way.
So, you've never been married?
No, and I never will be.
What about children?
Yes, that is likely. Someday.
I'd like to hear just about anything.
I do a lot of charity work around the city, primarily in the prison and reform system. I'm not a professional sociologist, but it does interest me.
I'd like to hear just about anything.
I have a business degree from Vanderbilt. I wanted to study psychology, but my family's interests came first.
Oh? Why not something like law, then? Surely that would have been an asset to the family.
Law? Please, I do have some morals, Detective.
Okay.
I'd like to hear just about...
For the record, I'm 28, Detective.
Ah.
I'd like to hear just about anything.
I have a few friends. A woman in my position can't really afford them.
I'd like to hear just about anything.
I try to stay away from the media as much as possible. Last year there was that story about John Kennedy Jr. and I. The phone didn't stop ringing for weeks. I prefer to keep my private life private. I would appreciate it if you would keep my name away from any public association with the police, Detective.
Of course. I'd like to hear just about anything.
I do a lot of charity work around the city, primarily in the...
Добре.
I wouldn't...
As you wish, Detective.
Така.
Can you tell me anything about what happened out at the lake?
I wish I could, but I've never seen or heard anything unusual at the lake, and I do spend quite a bit of time out there.
Нещо друго.
Can you tell...
I wish I could...
И сега, пригответе се.
Excuse me, but your eyes are really distracting. I don't think I've ever seen a color quite like that. Brownish gold.
Ah,
So
Gabriel.
deep and rich. Man, if I could bottle that, I'd make a fortune.
Thank you, Detective. That's an interesting observation, though probably not relevant to your case.
A good detective never knows what might be relevant, Miss Getty.
Then you must be truly exceptional at your job. I think this has
Exceptional
gone on
indeed.
long enough. You're not really a detective, are you?
Who,
Ah.
me?
Как така?
Well, I am on this case, Miss Getty.
I saw you at the lake
Ма как
yesterday.
така?
I thought you must be with the police since you were there, but you don't act like a police officer. Besides, I'm rather certain that the other man said his name was Mosley.
All right, you caught me. I'm not with the police. My name is Gabriel Knight. I'm a writer working with Detective Mosley on a book.
Well, Mr. Knight, now that we've established who you are, perhaps you can tell me the real reason you're here.
Well, I am researching the book, and I thought you might have seen or heard something at the lake.
I don't like liars, Mr. Knight.
Okay, you're right. I really just wanted to see you again. You can be mad at me if you want, but I swear I've never done anything like this before.
Mr. Knight, you've lied about your identity and wasted my time with meaningless questions. If it weren't vaguely flattering, I'd really be angry. You're lucky I don't call the real police. I think you should go, Mr. Knight.
Malia, wait. If you just give me a chance.
Играта ни е
Wasted
слаба.
enough time. I'll have Robert show you out. Robert,
Хична няма
show
в свалките.
Mr. Knight out, please.
I most certainly will. Thank you very much. I had a lovely time. Ah, shit.
Shit. Тая музика. Така. А можеш ли директно да се отиде тук? Да. Добре. Ще можеш ли да го питаме за тази? Вече малко са ми размити спомените.
Hey, bud. You! Last time I looked. Give me my badge right now.
Is that why you're so excited? If you knew what I needed it for.
I'm sure it was to impress a woman. You could have asked. Do you know how embarrassing it is to admit your badge was stolen? I had a photo with the chief, and he wanted me wearing it. I should lock you up, Knight.
I suppose you could. Seems to me, though, there was that time you borrowed my bike without mentioning it. Right from in front of my shop.
Yeah, don't remind me. Just don't do it again.
Okay.
Whew, it's hot in here. Dang, the air... Are you hot?
Can I ask you about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
What's the status on the voodoo murders case?
You're as filled in as me.
Okay. Така.
I'm gonna hit the road.
Ciao.
Добре. Бам. Сега. Къде се върнем?
I knew you'd miss me, so I came back.
I wish you wouldn't wear that coat outside in June. I could smell you from here.
О, боже. Миришем на лошо. На мъж.
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Could you do...
Sure. What?
I can't...
Okay.
Do you have messages?
Nope.
Tell me about yourself.
What else do you want to know?
Just tell me.
I just got my master's in
Nothing I...
Suit yourself.
See you later.
Don't hurry back on my
Alligator.
account.
Добре. Цементера. Дайте да отидем до музея. Все пак.
Welcome, my friend.
Hello?
I am the proprietor, Dr. John. If you have any questions, I will be happy to assist.
Great. My name is Knight, and I'll probably take you up on that.
Да, разгледаме.
Reminds me of a book critic for the New York Times.
О,
It's an electrical switch.
What does this do?
Turn that thing on. We have air conditioning.
Yeah, I see.
добре.
A leather whip hung from the peg on the wall.
Ooh, hurt me.
Hey, hurt me, baby.
Gabriel cannot take that.
Damn. I've always wanted a skeleton with a bowl on its head.
On the table is a small coffin. So small, in fact, that it would only fit an infant.
Charming.
Charming. Indeed.
This coffin is so small.
How observant of you, Mr. Knight.
Is it for dolls or something?
It symbolizes the afterlife. It is purely decorative, I assure you.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
It's the exit to Ursula Street. Flickering candles lend an appropriately spooky atmosphere to the museum.
He's got more hair than Mosley.
Добре.
A wooden doll with horns is on the back table.
Looks like Jack Nicholson.
The back wall displays various voodoo items, such as an artist's rendering of the voodoo dances in Congo Square in the early 1800s. The back wall displays various voodoo items and art. The historical voodoo museum is brimming with items authentic and original.
Voice acting-а на тази просто е номер
The
едно.
historical voodoo museum is brimming with items authentic and original. The historical voodoo. Something about the shape of that knife gives Gabriel the creeps. The back wall. The back wall. The historic. The back wall. The back. The back wall. The historic. An official voodoo wish and stump. Rub it and make a wish, a card says.
Funny, I say the same thing to women.
Но няма да бъде, че ме забавляват такива диалози. В днешните игри, за съжаление, ги няма.
Gabriel doesn't
Много сме
recognize the
политически коректни.
museum's flags. Gabriel doesn't recognize the museum's flags. An authentic looking pole marks the center of the room. An authentic looking pole marks the center of the room. Authentic what? Gabriel isn't sure. Large elaborate drums occupy a corner of the museum. A counter at the back displays brochures and a donation basket.
Нямаме пари за donation.
It's a basket for donation to the free museum. A striking portrait of a turbaned woman is on the back wall. Gabriel wonders who she might be. A striking portrait. The back wall. A very large, very formidable looking snake is secured in a plexiglass cage. Dr. John is a huge man. If his manner weren't so pleasant, he'd be intimidating. A street drummer has settled outside the museum. The historical voodoo museum is brimming with... A balcony surrounds the room on the second level. It's closed to the public. A balcony...
Добре, нека да говорим с доктор Джон.
This is quite a place you have here.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. I have dedicated myself to the preservation of this unique culture. It is gratifying to see others reap the fruits I have sown.
Could I ask you some questions?
That is why I am here.
Вууду.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Historical voodoo? Or the voodoo currently practiced in the city?
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
The killings in the newspaper? I know that they have nothing to do with true voodoo in New Orleans.
What do you think of New Orleans?
It is
New
the
Orleans.
only city in the United States as far as I am concerned.
What is it about New Orleans that you so admire?
It has a real culture of its own, Mr. Knight, amid the horrid blandness that is Americana. New Orleans alone has a voice.
Spoken like a true New Orleanian. Do you have anything else to say about New Orleans?
I have already given you my opinion, Mr. Knight.
What makes you think?
Voodoo is a popular boogeyman, Mr. Knight, especially in New Orleans. Anyone can pretend to use it, just as anyone can pretend to be a black belt in karate, and for the same reason, to intimidate. I know voodoo in this city, Mr. Knight, and believe me, it is not about killing. Even the police have stated that the killings have nothing to do with local voodoo.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Historical voodoo? Or the voodoo currently practiced in the...
So you know nothing about the voodoo murders case?
I neither know nor care to know, Mr. Knight. My only possible interest is in how it might affect the public's attitude towards the museum. So far, it has not been an issue. No one has even had the bad taste to bring it up. Until you, that is.
Пак прецакахме раз.
So you know...
I neither know...
Така.
Do you have any...
I have already...
Do you know anything about snakes?
Да.
You have perhaps noticed the museum's snake, Mr. Knight. They are beautiful creatures, do you not agree?
Beautiful creatures.
And the tourists seem to associate them with voodoo.
Is the snake yours? Do you use it in your practice of voodoo?
I admire the spirit of the snake, Mr. Knight, but snakes like the museums can be quite dangerous to handle.
You didn't really answer my question.
I think I did, Mr. Knight.
I'd really like to know more about your snake.
There is really nothing more to say, Mr. Knight.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
No, I have not.
Туналия пиричката отидах.
Tell me about yourself.
Me?
Yes, if you don't mind.
What is it you wish to learn?
Why did you open a voodoo museum?
The subject has fascinated me all my life, and I wanted to help preserve the cultural heritage it represents.
What kind of background in voodoo do you have?
Let us say that I cut my teeth on it, Mr. Knight. It is in my blood.
Do you do anything besides run the museum?
No. The museum does not make me a rich man, but my material needs are simple. I prefer to focus on my one true interest in life.
What are your own religious beliefs?
My beliefs are too personal and too complex to discuss with a layman, Mr. Knight.
Just tell me anything.
I am originally from the West Indies myself, you know.
Really? What brought you to New Orleans?
I was drawn here for personal reasons.
Just tell me anything.
I am a vegetarian.
Really? I can't imagine living without meat.
That must be the hunter in you, Mr. Knight.
Just tell me anything.
I do not care for small talk, Mr. Knight.
Actually,
Then,
tell me about historical voodoo.
very well. I will start at the beginning, Mr. Knight, and will go on from there at your prompting.
Sounds good.
As you may know, voodoo is a grassroots religion formed by the mixing together of many different African tribal religions and Anglo religions, such as Catholicism or Protestantism. In other words, it is a religion born of the African slave trade, but African slaves were imported not only by the United States, but also into the West Indies, where the French and Spanish ran plantation islands. Prior to 1803, the New Orleans area was owned by France. The French Creole in those days owned many African slaves. But the Creole did not permit their slaves to gather, giving no chance for voodoo to breed here natively. The Creole also knew enough about the corrupted pagan practices of the West Indies slaves to ban the importing of slaves from that region.
So, how did voodoo come to New Orleans?
After the Louisiana Purchase, American legislators relaxed regulations. Slaves were permitted to gather. The Americans also removed the ban on West Indies slaves. Around the same time, a slave revolt occurred in Santo Domingo, what is now Haiti. Between the lifting of the ban and the Haitian revolt, West Indies slaves began pouring into New Orleans. Some of them were free people of color, freed or escaped slaves. Some came with their white owners who were fleeing from the revolt.
What happened when the West Indies slaves got here?
They brought voodoo with them. The native slaves were more than enthusiastic about embracing it. It gave them power, Mr. Knight, if only in the form of a communal bond. Among the first meeting places were the Bayou St. John and the shore of Lake Pontchartrain. The early voodoos were heavy snake worshippers, worshipping the one they called the Great Zombie.
Tell me more about historical voodoo.
By 1817, the voodoo activities were beginning to cause fear among the white slave owners. An ordinance was passed to forbid slave gatherings except in designated public areas at designated times. The time was Sunday afternoons and the place Congo Square. The slaves and free people of color gathered to dance simulations of their voodoo dances right in sight of Creole society. Of course, they also continued to meet in private for the real thing.
Tell me more about historical voodoo.
There were a variety of kings and queens at first, voodoo priests and priestesses. But from about 1830, a single power emerged. This was a voodoo queen named Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau ruled voodoo in New Orleans for many years.
Добре.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
There were actually two Marie Laveaus, mother and daughter. Most people thought they were the same woman. Her continued youth added to the mystique. The original, the mother, was also known as Widow Paris. It was she that began the empire. When the Widow Paris began to practice, there were many voodooans in the city. By 1830, she was voodoo queen of all New Orleans.
Tell me
The Widow Paris was a hairdresser.
Добре.
tell me more about
Доста историка.
I've given you as
Current voodoo.
tell me about current voodoo.
many people think of voodoo in terms of magic spells or gree-gree. That kind of practice is actually called hoodoo and is only a part of true voodoo. Voodoo, the religion, has a strong following in New Orleans. In fact, it is growing quite rapidly. There are several voodoo churches or temples in the city, and others all across the United States. African Americans see it as a tradition all their own. Whites, and there are many in their religion, are attracted to it because they think it is exotic. I, personally, am more interested in the history of voodoo. Some of the new movements are copying Haitian or even African voodoo. But it is the voodoo of New Orleans that I find so intriguing.
Tell me more about current voodoo.
There are many voodooans in New Orleans. They often do business selling gree-gree, telling fortunes, providing luck, and occasionally misfortune. Perhaps you would like to meet a voodooan. We refer those who seek a deeper experience with voodoo to a local practitioner, Magentia Moonbeam.
Sure, I'd love to meet her.
Ето.
She lives
Идеално.
on the corner of Orleans and Dauphine.
Ще отидем.
I will call her and tell her you might stop by.
Great,
Да.
thanks.
Добре.
Do you know Malia Getty?
Should I?
She referred me to your museum.
Many have read about our museum in the newspapers, Mr. Knight.
That's a good point. Tell me more.
She kept a pet snake,
Ah.
danced with it too. She held traditional voodoo ceremonies out by the lake. She took herself seriously. Very
Snake
seriously.
by the lake.
But she was not above selling tickets for her events to curiosity seekers. She was not above using voodoo any way she could to make money. That is for certain. But if she had been in another line of work, in another age, that would have been interpreted as entrepreneurial genius rather than a sign of fraudulence.
Hey, you don't need to convince me. I admire anyone that can actually make a living. Tell me more.
It was Marie Laveau who defined the voodoo that is truly and uniquely the voodoo of New Orleans. She invented hundreds, if not thousands of spells, potions, charms, and incantations. These form the basis of the modern practice, not to mention the folk tradition of hoodoo.
Вууду. Ще питаме за
Tell me
вууду.
more.
Her daughter, Marie Glapion, took over when the widow Paris got old. Most people thought it was the same Marie Laveau. Both Maries encouraged that point of view. The widow Paris died in 1881. Marie Glapion had been reigning a long time by then. After the death of the widow Paris, other voodoo queens surfaced, and by 1890, the cult was fragmented again. Marie Glapion just sort of faded away.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
The Laveau tomb, where one or both of the Maries are believed to be buried, is in St. Louis Cemetery number 1. It is a popular shrine for practitioners and tourists alike. I myself take tours through the cemetery on a regular basis.
Really? Do you have any running this week?
No, but the cemetery is open to the general public as well.
Добре, идеално, идеално. Ще отидем там.
Tell me more.
You have heard every...
Добре. Current voodoo.
Tell me more.
You have...
Are you...
Quite sure, Mr. Knight.
Are you sure you don't know?
Hoodoo.
Is there anything else I should know about hoodoo?
Not if your interest is primarily in voodoo. Hoodoo is of interest to those who study rural folk traditions, but it will not aid you in understanding true voodoo.
Is there anything else I should know about hoodoo?
Not if your interest is primarily in voodoo. Hoodoo is of interest to those who study rural folk traditions, but it will not aid you in understanding true voodoo.
Ще нищо.
Is there anything?
Not if your interest is...
Добре, exit. Добре, достатъчно.
The doorway is already open.
Okay. Значи имаме две локации.
Goodbye, Dr. John.
Come back again.
Гробището и при тази... тук е така. Moonbeam Residence и... и гробището тук ли беше? Къде беше? Къде? Чакай да ти нова лука. Така, яко.
St. Louis Cathedral. The original church on this site was built in 1724 and was named for Louis IX of France. That church burnt in the Great Fire of 1788. The present church dates from 1851. Gabriel is standing on the balcony of a building across the street from Jackson Square. 4 pairs of binoculars are rigorously mounted on the cement floor. The presbytery. This building was begun by the Spaniards in 1795 after a fire in Jackson Square. It was intended for monks, but now it houses historical exhibits. The Pontalba buildings are historical landmarks built in 1849 and 1850 as residential apartments.
Добре.
Nice plant.
Добре. Така, сега. Първо обаче ще отидем в парка, защото имаме малко работа там. Сега, понеже чакай, къде е? Така.
The $20 gift certificate for St. George's looks pitifully new and unused.
Добре. Сега. Сега тук имаше една схема за скетчове пак. Този също е person of interest. Само трябва да го намеря този къде е. Да. Тук съм забрал. Къде беше точно хот-дога? Ето го.
The lucky dog vendor has his nose buried in a paperback novel. Gabriel noticed that it is not. Big surprise. One of his.
Lol.
A small boy is tap dancing enthusiastically for a lucky dog vendor. The vendor ignores him.
Could I get a lucky dog, please?
Not now, I'm busy.
An unambitious person? In the 90s? Ah, amazing.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yep, I mind all right.
Why?
Because A, I don't know anything.
Просто акцента е скандален.
Oh,
Interrogating the little boy wouldn't be very useful.
Сега, мисля, че така беше схемата.
There's no reason to do that to the lucky dog card.
I have this gift certificate.
I'm busy.
It's good for $20 at St. George's Books, finest bookstore in New Orleans.
Really? I'll have to check it out sometime.
You could take this gift certificate with you, if you'll give me a lucky dog.
A lucky dog for a $20 gift certificate? Well, sure. Here you go.
Ето и сега, съответно, ще го дадем на момчето.
The lucky dog is plump and juicy.
Plump and juicy.
That would be a mess. Interrogating the little...
You dance pretty well for a kid.
Give me some money, then.
I don't have any.
Don't block the view, mister.
Няма пари, човек. Но пък има дог.
You wouldn't like a lucky dog by any chance.
Would I? Thanks, mister. You got any special requests? Let me know.
Добре. Така. Тън. Еде. Така.
Hey, come back here. Hey!
Опа!
The artist is off chasing his errant drawing. The artist wouldn't... The artist would not appreciate Gabriel messing with his stuff while he...
Добре. И сега...
Oh, unbelievable. Rotten luck.
Съответно... Ние не можем да го вземем, но...
There's her drawing caught up against the hedges.
Така.
Gabriel can't reach the drawing from where he is.
Добре. Но... Айде, приятелю.
Interrogating the little boy wouldn't...
You mentioned something about special requests?
Yeah. You got one?
Да.
Can you fit through the bars around the statue?
Can I? Just watch me.
Good. There's something in there I can't quite reach. Come on.
Да. Принципно трябваше да разгледаме и да подсъкаме малко на решетките, ама
Sure thing.
сега като го знаем какво е.
Here you go.
Thanks, kid.
Yep. See ya.
Добре.
It's a technical drawing of Saint Louis Cathedral. Gabriel has a photocopy of the official police.
Добре.
How's it going?
Well, life sucks. I just lost 2 days' worth of work.
What you working on now?
Just starting another drawing of the cathedral.
Може би, може да му
Could I
помогна.
ask you some questions?
I'd rather not. I really get focused when I'm drawing.
Okay, fine.
Добре, добре, приятелю. Сега ще я дадем обратно.
This belongs to you, doesn't it?
My drawing? How'd you get it?
Oh, it was a bit of a squeeze, but I hate to see you lose your work. I lost my only copy of a manuscript once.
Well, you saved my butt. Let me know if I can ever do the same for you, huh?
Така.
The artist is an able draftsman, but interrogating him wouldn't lend much to Gabriel's investigation.
Ето сега той ни каза има ли някаква схема и ние съответно ще му
Say, do you
покажем
think
това.
there's anything you can do with these patterns?
What do you need?
Is there any way you can reconstruct the whole pattern from these partials?
Pattern is probably circular, and there's some repetition in the elements. What is this from, anyway?
You'd never believe me.
Okie dokie. Well, there's... I think there's an area missing. If you could get me any more of these...
I'll see what I can do.
Any more of these. Ние имаме more of these. Ето. Тука.
What would the artist do with that? What?
Аре.
What?
Извинявам се, това е фотокопията.
I have another one of those patterns.
Really? Let's see. Yeah, this is great. I think there's enough overlap now. I'll give it my best shot. I'll show you what I come up with tomorrow.
Great. I appreciate it.
Ето. Значи на следващия ден трябва да дойдем до тук. И до тук сме, така че можем да ходим към гробищата. Опа, чакай. Можем да излизам от тук. Оп, чакай малко. Ние нямаме още работа тук. Нямаме работа в църквата. Сега тук ще се поразходим малко, ама нищо. Какво да направиш? Стара игра. Хем да послушаме малко блуз. Сега отиваме в гробището. И после ще отидем при тази така. Бам.
New Orleans is famous for its above-ground tombs. The high water table prevents bodies from being interred underground. The name Ross is inscribed on this old tomb. New Orleans is famous for vases seem to be a favorite decoration for the dead. Vases, St. Louis Cemetery, St. Louis Cemetery number 1 is one of the most historic and beautiful places in the French Quarter.
Okay.
St. Louis, food, trinkets, and more unsettling things have been left at Marie Laveau's tomb as offerings from believers.
Точно тук е интересното. Гробницата на тази.
Food, trinkets. This is the tomb of Marie Laveau, voodoo queen of New Orleans. Odd. The marks are reddish in color and reminds Gabriel of crosses. They look like they've been here a few days at least.
Си ги копираме.
I want a copy of these strange marks.
Няма телефон да ги снима.
Near the Laveau tomb is a piece of red brick. Undoubtedly a cast-off from spiritual graffiti writers.
Ще ги вземем, Айде, вземай.
Gabriel images haunt the images touch a deep car.
Добре.
It's Gabriel's sketch of the series of crosses from the Laveau tomb wall. It's a piece of brick. Those two objects would have no
Добре.
That item there's no reason. Those two objects, Gabriel magnifies the scale from the lake. The iridescent scale is brilliantly hued with greens and purples. The iridescent.
Добре. Така.
That item can. The label on a hair gel jar talks about mysterious Hawaiian roots and ancient Oriental secrets. The copy is almost as believable as Gabriel's novel.
Oh,
Food, trinkets, and more unsettling things. A stone angel stands silently before a tomb. A stone. This old tomb is in a sorry state of disrepair.
There's probably no one left in the family to maintain it.
An angel with a cross stands guard over one of the tombs. It's an imposing marble tomb from the last century. New Orleans is famous for its above-ground tomb.
A marble snake. Now that's cheerful.
Putting the scales there wouldn't help. Vases seem to be vast.
Чакайте се, да се върнем и да дойдем пак, защото трябва да говорим с гробаря. Айде де. Сбагяса ли са мамечката? Това не исках да става. Сега няма да може да се тръгне от тук. Да, ама не ми се занимава повече на мене. Айде де! Чакай малко. Ти ще го гугълна да видя мога ли да изляза, защото... Помня, че имаш такъв проблем. Тъпичко сега се получи, много тъпо. Къде да го направим? Full screen mode, ама... Ето идеално. Ето сега ще говорим с него. Защото аз не го играя на full screen mode в Скълдиеми.
You got something to say, son? Mind if I pick your brain a minute? Go ahead. These folks ain't in no hurry.
Виж го е.
What can you tell me about voodoo? They say it was part of an old religion from Africa, brought here by slaves.
Тех да отворя вратата на пералнята, че да не стои затворена.
What can you tell? I don't really care to talk about it. I don't do it none myself. What do you know about the voodoo murders? Ain't it just awful, them finding those bodies with voodoo things around them? I don't think there's any
bodies with voodoo things around them.
Somebody trying to cover their tracks is all. What do you know about the voodoo murders? I told you all I know about that. What can you tell me about New Orleans? Seems like everybody want to visit New Orleans at least once in their lives. And they love the cemetery tour. I see tourists in here every day of the year.
че ми се доспава.
What can you tell?
There's lots of things to see here, but none are as beautiful as the St. Louis Cemetery #1.
What can you tell?
Hey, if you want to know more, you should ask somebody else.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? I see snakes around here all the time. Most of them ain't poisonous, of course.
Do you know?
I don't mind snakes myself, but lots of folks are afraid of them.
Do you know anything?
I don't mind.
Добре.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Sure. She was the voodoo queen of New Orleans. A powerful voodooine and a powerful sorceress. Believers still come to her tomb, you know. They write secret marks on the walls, leaving offerings and things. Then there's the tourists. They come out of curiosity. As a matter of fact, that big Dr. John fella from the Voodoo Museum, he's here at least once today. But Marie Laveau's tomb ain't the only one the believers visit and make markings and leave offerings at.
Трябва да го посетим.
What else can you tell me?
Her tomb's on all our tours. Even the Baptists come round here to gawk. Course, you may not know this, but some of the real serious voodoo types argue that she ain't in this one at all, but down in an unmarked tomb in #3. It's all the same to me, I say. Save me a lot of cleanup work if she weren't here, if you ask me.
What else?
Boy, go out and buy a book if you really want.
Have you ever heard the word Schottenjäger?
I don't know what you talking about.
Tell me about
Даже нещо за
yourself.
тебе, пич.
My name is Toussaint Gervais. I'm the watchman here at St. Louis #1.
What exactly do you do here?
Oh, I keep the place tidy, course, but a big part of my job, too, is looking out for the grievers, you know. People come to pay their respects, and they need looking out for. Sometimes they so grief-bound they don't know what they doing.
Tell me about you.
That's about all there is.
You said there were other marked tombs?
Yep. I seen bull hearts left on tombs and a nest of vulture feathers, plates of peas and corn green, animal parts, human parts even, it looked like. Male parts, if you get my meaning. And this at one of the great family crypts, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
Odd how them types just pick a spot and stick to it.
What other tombs get marked? Can you show me?
No, I ain't one for naming names. I don't like to encourage that kind of thing. It's distressing to the families, and rightly so. Don't know how that sort of thing gets started. Why folks come to start leaving stuff at that one spot. But it happens all the same.
What other tombs?
No.
Tell me something about St. Louis Cemetery #1.
You know why the dead are buried in tombs and not in the ground, don't you? The water table's too high. Them coffins would float right out of their graves. Them dead would go floating right down into the water. Course, if it were Mardi Gras, nobody'd even notice.
Tell me something about St. Louis Cemetery #1.
It's a historical place. People buried in here from the Civil War and back further too. Take a look around, you'll see.
Tell me some.
Just look around.
Tell me.
Just look.
Добре. Достатъчно. Няма какво повече.
An old man tends the cemetery with... The old man is apparently doing some cleanup work. An old man St. Louis Cemetery #1. Food, trinkets and...
Окей. Сега. Отиваме в Moonbeam резиденцията. Айде, той замина. Принципно трябваше да говоря първо с него и след това да разглеждаме работите, ама... Така, отиваме тук.
Welcome, Seeker. You must be the one Dr. John called me about.
I guess so.
My name is...
Wait? Gabriel Knight?
Как знаеш,
You're too
Муц?
quick for me.
Actually, Dr. John told
Тук е схемата.
you have
тук е
come to the
схемата.
right place, Mr. Knight. Tell me how I can help.
Така, първо, както винаги, разглеждаме всичко.
Magentia's bottles probably contain secret ritual concoctions. Magentia Moonbeam is wrapped in gauze and silks. She looks vaguely mysterious and mysteriously vague. The shelf holds a variety of unusual objects, the kind of thing Gabriel refers to as junk. A large crystal ball is prominently displayed. A glass lamp hangs from a chain over the table. The mask is made of carved wood and looks African. The shelf holds a variety. The Moonbeam residence looks like a cross between a voodoo temple and a Victorian fortune teller's parlor. By Magentia Moonbeam, a large sluggish snake rests on the floor of the fancy bird cage. Apparently, Magentia is not a fastidious housekeeper. A shed skin shares the cage with its original owner.
Това е схемата.
It's a large cluster of quartz crystals. The Moonbeam residence looks like a cross between the Moonbeam residence. It's an old-fashioned parlor lamp hung with crystals. The Moonbeam.
Окей, нека да говорим с нея.
Dr. John tells me you're a voodoo practitioner of some kind.
Yes, I am a voodoo yen, a voodoo priestess.
Добре, буду пристес. Да, се
Could
говорим
I
с
ask
теб.
you a few questions?
Of course, Seeker.
Добре.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
My practice is mainly selling charms and potions with magic power, such as gree-gree and voodoo oils. You know, everything from unrequited love to wandering spouses to winning a lawsuit. But my spells and charms are powerful, and they work.
What can you
Much of a voodoo yen's work is protecting her clients from the spell of others. I make special protective gree-gree to be worn in secret. They keep evil spells from working against my clients.
What can you tell me?
The recipes for voodoo charms have been handed down from master to apprentice for centuries.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
I have told you all it is proper for you to...
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Why, that has nothing to do with me and my clientele. But I can tell you that you should stay as far from it as possible. There is badness there. Very bad.
Very bad.
So you don't think the voodoo aspects of the case are fake?
Fake? Let me tell you about fake. If I get information through the grapevine and make use of it, is that fake? No. That is part of a voodoo yen's power. If people don't believe, there is not much I can do. But if they do believe, that is a part of my power too. But there are things, monsieur, things not even a little bit fake, I can tell you. Believe it or not, but stay away from it.
What do you mean? Do you know something about the case?
I work hard on fine-tuning my spiritual antenna, Monsieur Knight, and I get a clear signal from that direction. Beware.
What do you mean? Do you know something about the case?
I work hard on...
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is the center of voodoo practice in the United States.
What can you...
It is a fascinating city with many dark secrets.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is my favorite place in the world.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is my favorite place in the world.
What can you tell?
It is
Не.
Do you know
Snakes.
anything about snakes?
snakes? You mean like my beloved Grimwald? She's a python, you know. Quite deadly in the wrong hands. I was trained by one of the great voodoo queens to learn how to hypnotize and handle snakes.
Добре.
Oh, I wouldn't want to give away my trades.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Oh, yes. She was the first of the great voodoo queens.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
She ruled voodoo in New Orleans for 100 years, they say.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
I'm sure a historian could help you with that, if you...
Добре.
Have you ever heard the word Schottenjäger?
I don't know anything about that.
Tell me about yourself.
Yes? What would you like to hear?
How'd you get into this business?
I trained in the voodoo
Yes.
arts for many years with the great queen Tabitha.
Really? Who's she?
You have never heard of her? For shame! I can see you know little of the world of magic.
I'm beginning to get that impression, yes.
Добре дошли, поздрави, благодаря ти много за речето. Ние след мъничко ще свършваме, като го свършим този диалог. Ще минем ден втори, но благодаря много за рейда. Надявам се вашия стрим и играта, всичкото е било наред с тях. Сигурно е време за почивчица. Добре дошли, поздрави и гости. Точно говорим с една вууду приестес. И сме втори ден в Гейбриъл Найт, където разследваме вууду убийства. Сирените ли са най-големите оттайки? Кажи защо така.
What kind of people come to see you?
Seekers after the truth, such as yourself.
Do you do anything else?
I am a voodoo yen, and that is plenty. It takes much spiritual effort.
How many voodoo yens are there?
No one knows exactly.
Voodoo
Many
yens.
practice in secret. There are probably hundreds. But of course the level and the power of the voodoo yens differ greatly, depending on their training and natural gifts.
Tell me
Anything at all.
anything at all.
I haven't always lived in New Orleans. I came here from Kansas as a young woman.
Личи си, точно прилича на такава от Мидуеста. Руса, сини очи, много светла.
Tell me anything at all.
I began studying voodoo more than 20 years ago. I am well versed in the magical art.
Дримите нямат нито едно позитивно качество. Разбирам защо не ги харесваш.
Tell me anything at all.
Many non-believers come to me. They are usually believers when they leave.
Tell me any.
Dr. John sends me many seekers such as yourself.
Tell me any.
I am happy here with my clientele and my snake.
Tell me anything at all.
I haven't always lived in New Orleans. I came here from Kansas.
Точно това ще я кажа. Освен ако няма цици...
Very well.
Гримволд.
About Grimwald.
What about her?
Точно това ми беше на къла. Освен ако няма цици, освен ако има цици, друго явно нямат. Така...
Where'd you get Grimwald?
Гримволд е
Belonged to a
змия.
traveling reptile show. She was being terribly mistreated, so I offered to buy her. She's named after a spirit guide I had once. The spirit Grimwald was a very powerful female snake priestess in Egyptian times.
Grimwald
Ами,
doesn't sound
абе като си
Egyptian.
20
I
годишен,
only know what the
Eh,
spirits tell me.
е окей.
Monsieur, I am sure they know better than we.
How'd you learn to handle Grimwald?
I told you a great voodoo queen
Пък и той
taught me.
Гералт мисля, че не
She learned from Marie
възразява
Laveau herself.
Ah,
точно срещу тази позитивна черта.
would you consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
No, I couldn't do that. You might do some gree-gree of your own, no? One must be very careful with such things. Hair clippings, nail parings, and snake scale.
Ето тук е хинта и трябва да внимаваме много, за да не го пропуснем. Той сам каза. Това ми харесва. Сам каза, че иска от нея, от змията, да му даде нещо, но тя не се съгласи нарочно.
Are you sure you wouldn't consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
I told you I couldn't do that.
И е доста така настоятелна в отговора си.
Are you sure you wouldn't consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
I told you I couldn't do that.
How about showing me how you handle Grimwald?
Really? You would like to see me dance, perhaps?
That would be
Мръсница!
swell.
I won't make you wait, Monsieur Knight. No matter what you see, do not be frightened.
I'll give it my best shot.
Добре, добре. Айде. Ето сега е схемата. Сега е схемата. Отиваме да вземем веднага Snake скина. Защото тя няма да ни даде иначе. И тя естествено няма да види.
They are truly inspiring, isn't it?
That's certainly one word for it.
Сега отиваме тук да разгледаме
This
какво
is
сме
the last
взели.
page of inventory.
Опа.
Those two objects would have...
Yeah.
It's the shed skin from Moonbeam's snake.
И съответно вземаме това. Те ли беше?
Those two...
Момент.
There's
Трябва да го разгледаме. Хоп, хоп,
Gabriel magnifies the shed skin from Magentia, Moonbeam's snake. The snake scales are hued brown. They don't match the scale from Lake Pontchartrain.
Добре, не мачва. Не мачва. Теде, нямаме още да говорим маничко с нея.
Could I ask you a few more questions?
Certainly. What about her?
Nothing.
All right.
Give me an example of a gris-gris.
All right. Here's an old one. Take a lodestone and some brimstone to a crossroads at midnight. Light the brimstone with a match, and a spirit will come and give you advice in gambling.
Give me an example.
Here's an old hoodoo Dr. Gree-Gree. Place a dime under your client's tongue, and if the client is under a spell of any kind, the dime will turn black.
Give me an example of a gris-gris.
To send someone away, take a rotten egg and write that person's name on it 9 times. You can also write on it where you want to send that person to. Take it and throw it against his door at midnight.
At midnight, добре.
Give me an example of a gris-gris.
Here's a nasty one. To kill someone, get a sock or a shoe that belongs to that person.
A nasty
Put
one.
graveyard dirt in it and bury it under their front steps.
Does that work?
I don't know. I never tried it.
Значи, внимавайте с обувките къде се изхвърляте и гледайте да нямате стълби, за да не могат да ви заровят обувката под стълбите и да вземете да покясате.
Give me an
To ensure the safety of your child, cut a lock of its hair while it is still a baby and keep it with you. The child must have all its hair before it can die.
These are interesting.
They're very old. The gree-gree that I prepare is much more powerful, I can assure you, but I don't give out those secrets.
Добре.
Give me an example.
All right, here's an old one. Take a lodestone and some brimstone to a crossroads at midnight. Light the brimstone with a match, and a spirit will come and give you advice in gambling.
Give me an example of a gree-gree.
Here's an old hoodoo Dr. Gree-gree. Place a dime under your client's tongue, and if the client is under a spell of...
Добре. Сега, последно, защото тя нали все пак е вуду мастър, нека да я покажем тези работи.
Do these symbols mean anything to you?
Oh, the voodoo code. It is very secret, yes. I studied it with my mentor, the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Great. Can you tell me what it says?
Let's see. Well, some of it is nonsense, I'm afraid. Whoever wrote this wasn't very good.
That's all right. Just tell me what it says.
It starts with a D and a J, and then... Okay, this part makes sense. It says, conclave tonight, bring... then there's more nonsense. F-W-E-T-K-A-S-H. Well, that last bit might mean cash. Fresh cash? It doesn't make much sense.
That's okay, thanks.
Добре.
DJ Conclave. K-A-S-H. It's a start.
I'm happy I could help.
Добре, и мисля, че е това. Не, чакай малко, и това искам да я покажа.
Since Magenta has a snake, it might be the best not to discuss it.
Добре. Я виж това.
Could you look at this and tell me if you recognize anything about it?
That's from those voodoo murders, isn't it? That has nothing to do with me.
Добре. Искаш ли малко глина? Такова искаш ли?
Does this mean anything to you?
I can be of no help to you, seeker.
Добре. Искаш ли това да ти покажа?
Does this mean anything to you?
I can be...
There's no reason, Gabriel. The letter is written in German.
Дали знае малко немски тя?
Does this mean anything to you?
I can be of...
Мисля, че тук нямаме нищо повече. Е това. Музиката е много яка.
Does this mean anything?
I can be...
Добре, мисля, че тук сме готови. Хайде да.
Well, I guess I'll be gone now.
И сега имаме само да
The only
посетим...
vice is the absence of love.
I've heard that. Bye now.
Няма любов. Сега трябва да отидем в друг стора, мисля, че.
Hello.
Не сме ходили там. Ето го малкия звяр.
Bonjour, Monsieur Walker.
Bonjour.
Bienvenue, Madame Casino. Comment ça va? How you be feeling today?
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Walker, I'm certain someone's buried a sleep knot bag somewhere near my steps. I haven't slept a wink in weeks.
Oh, don't that beat all? Well, you're gonna need some easy night candles then.
Do you think that would help? I do hope you're right. I said 3 rosaries this morning for Our Lady's intervention.
Rosaries are good, sure enough. But you burn those candles too and you're gonna whip any old no-sleep gree-gree, I tell you for sure.
Very well, Mr. Walker. Put them on my account and send them round to my house. Oh, and there's another thing. I didn't catch her at it, but I know Mrs. Lefebvre put stomachache powder in my tea at the last meeting of the Creole Grand Dames. Oh,
Няма в главата.
misery.
You put 9 pinheads up in a little box, add a pinch of graveyard dust, and put it under her front porch step. That'll turn the trick back on Mrs. Lefebvre, and she'll be the one with the bellyache. I have the pins and the dust right here if you want them.
If the Blessed Virgin will grant me her protection, I'll be safe from these practitioners of evil.
Oui, madame. It don't hurt to be proactive none either. Now does it?
Naturellement, monsieur. Merci beaucoup.
Mais non, madame. It is
Merci
nothing.
beaucoup.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, Monsieur Walker.
Истински френски акцент. Добре, нека да разгледаме нещата.
It's a mannequin wearing a crocodile mask. It's a man. The Dixieland drugstore is crammed from top to bottom with strange merchandise, some or all of which seems to be related to the practice of voodoo. The poster reads, "Power will be yours when you use Papa Legba's power-drawing incense and Master Power oil." In this case are super-concentrated fixing oils and packages of pins. The Dixieland drugstore. The entire shelf is stocked with containers of High John the Conqueror root powder. The Dixieland drugstore. A variety of cloth dolls are arranged above the shelf, each impaled with a single silver pin.
Single silver pin.
Lodestone powder. 5-finger grass. Something tells me I'm not in Kansas anymore.
You're right, Dorothy.
Lodestone powder. Lodestone.
The shelf hold containers of dried items, flowers, grass, black cat bones. The shelf, the sign says potion ingredients. These jars must be for do-it-yourselfers.
Do-it-yourself voodoo.
The shelf hold. The glass jars contain a number of things Gabriel can't identify.
And wouldn't want to.
The Dixieland is nearly as old as the one at St. George's. The proprietor doesn't look especially friendly. Herbal oils for love, luck, power, and success. Root bags, curio boxes, and magic candles, sold as curios only. We cannot guarantee results. Root bag. The signs say, special Saint Jean Eve, lagniappe, free bottle of lover come back to me oil, or master gambling oil, with every purchase over $50.
Lagniappe. My French is lousy, but everyone in New Orleans knows what that means. A little something extra.
Small bags made of felt and flannel hang from the ceiling.
Those are gris-gris. They're full of magic.
Gris-gris.
No guarantees, though, you know.
Ropes of garlic hanging from the ceiling.
I'll know where to come if I ever have a vampire problem.
The dust on those boxes is older than Gabriel. Voodoo and hoodoo. The craft as revealed by traditional practitioners by Jim Haskins. Available at Dixieland Drugstore and other fine stores. This case holds candles with names like Love Drawing Candle, Confusion Candle, and Black Devil Candle.
If only they sold a figure out what the hell is going on candle.
Би било добре да има такава свещ.
Hi there. Is this your store?
This is a Dixieland drugstore, and I own it, me. Name's Walker, Willie Walker.
Mind if I ask you a few questions?
Ask what you want, I'll answer what I want.
Okay. Voodoo.
Can you tell me what you know about voodoo?
This is a novelty shop, monsieur.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Cabri Sancour.
What did you say?
Nothing. Those killings have nothing to do with my shop, monsieur.
What do you know?
Monsieur.
What do you know?
Monsieur. That has nothing to do with my shop.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I've lived here all my life, me.
What can you...
I'm a busy man, monsieur. I don't get out of my neighborhood much.
Do you know anything about snakes?
What kind of snakes?
The kind they use in voodoo?
Pythons and boas. So I've heard.
Really? Do you have one?
Are you crazy? What would I want with a python?
Do you know anything about...
I've already told...
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
It's the biggest night of the year in voodoo.
What goes on exactly?
I couldn't say.
What's the significance?
I've said...
What did you mean when you said Cabri Sancour?
I didn't say that.
You did. I heard you say it.
You heard wrong, monsieur. I said no such thing.
What did you mean?
I didn't say...
Have you ever heard of Marie Laveau?
Marie? She's somebody from the old days. One of those folk tales. Oh, the tourists eat it up, non.
Have you ever...
I don't know much, monsieur. Someone at Voodoo Museum can tell you all about her.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
Man, I don't even know what language that is.
Tell me about yourself.
My name's Willie Walker. I own the place.
Tell me about... How did you get into this kind of business?
Why should I discuss my business with you, man?
That customer of yours, the little old lady?
Customer?
The woman I saw in here. Madame Cazonou, you called her.
I don't talk about my customers to men who come in off the street.
Добре. Толкова не е много разговорлив, толкова съответно ние имаме други начини да се здобием с информация.
Hey, Grace. Here I am.
The excitement of seeing you is killing me.
Лол.
Gabriel cannot take that. There is nothing to operate there.
Добре. Къде ще се говорим с Грейс? Или с Лия Ремини, който се харесат?
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? Never heard of it. It must be a local custom. New Orleans love any excuse to celebrate.
Do you know what Cabri sans corps means?
No. Sounds French, though.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Wasn't she a big voodoo queen before the Civil War?
That's right.
Well, you just heard everything I know about her.
Do you have messages?
Nope.
И съответно...
Could you do some research for me?
Sure. What?
Ето тази, която иска да прави вуду магии.
I need you to look up a Madame Cazanou.
Madame Cazanou? Is she related to the murders the same way your friend, Malia Getty, was?
Grace, Casanou's at least 70.
As if that makes a difference to you. Okay, I'll see what I can find. Anything else?
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Оп.
It's time to close shop.
So it is.
Ето.
Have a nice
Ден
night.
втори е готов.
You too. See you tomorrow.
Довиждане. Страшничко се. Тъмната уличка. Мега драма. На никой не пожелавам такива сънища. Ден 3. Drawn to Bacchus is a boat I sought there to conspire, but it was in the city of the dead that I found my heart's desire. Добре. Айде, вестника. Естествено. Ще почнем с него. Тя се знае, прибира вестника, влиза вътре. Айде, добро утро.
I'm so glad you could join us today. I've got messages when you want them. I also checked out Cazanou. There are multiple listings in the white pages. I got the page, but you'll have to figure out the right one.
Добре.
Great, thanks.
Едно кафенце да изпие.
Now, are you gonna tell me what happened yesterday with Malia Getty, or is it just too embarrassing?
Too embarrassing indeed.
Don't tell me you actually got to see her.
Are the stars out tonight?
Gabriel, you don't seriously think she's interested? She can have any man in the city. You know, men with bank accounts.
You underestimate the Knight family's tragic poet samurai appeal. When Daddy married Mom, she was the hottest catch in town.
I always suspected there was something fishy in your family tree. But seriously, I think you should be careful.
Grace.
I'm
О, божечко.
serious. I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach about this.
It's called jealousy, my dear. And you're right. You should be jealous of Malia Getty, as should every woman on this planet.
Oh, never mind. I'll just fix these books. Your life is in your own slippery little hands.
The point is to get it into somebody else's hands. And soon.
Голям е мръсник, Гейбриъл. Добре, окей. Така. И окей. И това е от мене днеска. Да спираме записчето.